Hello everyone, I am Toji. This is what I look like. This is what I've been up to. Some of you may know me from the series Jujutsu Kaisen. Hello everyone. My name is Toji Fushiguro. There's been a lot of hateful words and remarks being made against me online, and I just wanted to take the time today to speak up, defend myself against all these hateful and hurtful people online that just choose to slander me and just say such mean things about me and my justified and innocent actions. I asked people on Twitter, and I have my iPad here, to just give me all their takes, their claims, their allegations against me and my character. And I will take the time today to address each and every one of these claims, address their truthfulness, and hopefully put an end to this never-ending stream of hurt that I've been facing. So, right off the bat, from Twitter user I'm Real Angry, he says I am from Baltimore. I just don't think that's true. I don't think I'm from there. I know where I'm from. It's not Baltimore. A-Star says he is such a good man that he is quite literally one of the only characters to be specified to have gone to heaven. That is true. That's where I'm recording from right now. I'm in heaven. You can see my David Lynch flag. I'm with him right now. We're fine. We're okay. Things are okay. Everyone else in that series could go to hell for all I care, but me, I'm up top. He does not shower, says Andromeda Art. That's just not true. I always do. You don't need to see that. No one needs to see that. That's no one's business, but I do shower. It's just taxing, having to deal with this every day, having to deal with all these hurtful things, they really, I didn't do much, I really didn't. I'm just trying to be a good dad is all. See, here's a good one, Shock and Roll says, great, unpredictable, and exciting character. I get the feeling Gege had a carnal desire for him. That's true. I am great. Lucho says, in what way Toji's journey is similar to yours? It's my own journey, So, it's the most similar because it's me. This is my journey. I don't really get what he's trying to say here. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look right here. Oni Omoyo says, deadbeat. You know how hard it is to raise a child, let alone two, in today's economy? Eggs are like $400 right now, So what? I gotta shoot a couple of people. It's fine. You gotta make a living. People just don't understand these days, and it's just, they don't know unless they've been in my shoes. See, thankfully this person's uncle says, arguably one of the most pivotal characters in the series, and I feel like the ripples caused by him aren't highlighted and appreciated when compared to his combat feats. Also, I think it'd be funny if Megumi knows Gojo killed Toji, but never realized that was him in Shibuya. That's true. When I saw Megumi for the second time, I realized I can't deal with this, and I figured I just leave, that kid can just figure stuff on his own. I have another kid to worry about right now. Return the Fool says, he's a good father. Exactly, see how he carries his worm son around his body in a close embrace? Exactly. Megumi, who's Megumi? You mean Potential Man? This is like my son now, I feed him, he has a little hole, you can put your finger in it. Shota Salada says, he did nothing wrong. Down with that blue-eyed demon. Megumi wasn't worth much anyway. This is what I mean, These are the real ones that understand my struggles, what I'm going through, what I had to deal with. Megumi, he ended up okay. He's alive. I'm not, but he's doing fine for himself. Gojo can just... Yasuo Orihara says, I think he's pretty cool despite being kind of a scumbag. There's nothing wrong with liking evil or morally questionable characters. See, the problem with that is that I'm justified. Everything I did was totally righteous, and I have the mandate of heaven, and everything was totally justified. But I appreciate the sentiment from you. Probably Avalon says, he's so broke his debts have debts. I'm gonna find you. Okay? And then I'm gonna handle some of my debts after I find you. So you better watch yourself. Hardlight Mario says, unprivating to say that I desire him carnally. I'm not gonna acknowledge that one. The Midnight Reaper says, certified bag chaser. Good on what he does and does it well. He just didn't expect Gojo to heal himself the way he did and then got caught up in the love of the game, which led to his end. Distanced himself from Megami and to Zenin, wanting his son to hopefully turn out better. You know, they're right about the Megami thing. Yeah, Gojo, I don't know what was up with that kid. I stabbed him like 400 times and yet he came back. I don't really know what's... There's something going on with him. I don't know how he managed to pull all that. Then he left a hole in me. But I'm okay, I got better. Geb says, could he beat every Jujutsu character in a twerk-off? I think I could. Because I never lose. God's favorite says VNFR. That's true. That's also true. See, these people, like, these are my people. These people are like agreeing with me, so I appreciate them and I like them because they're nice to me. Yankee says he didn't need to pay child support. F those kids. I agree with that too. I really didn't, and I chose not to. I stepped out. Those kids could step up, and they ended up being good for it. They don't need to worry about like what I'm up to. They do their own thing. I'm chasing my own bag. Ami says, I haven't read this series, but I think I want to watch hockey with this guy. I'm more of like a horse racing fan, personally, but if you want to watch hockey, I'd be down. Nantono says, here are some curiosities about Toji. First of all, if someone describes Toji as drunk or dirty, they are wrong because Toji canonically does not like alcohol and he cannot be dirty because he was thrown into dirty wells of curses. Also, he likes money so he's not poor. This is the kind of like thoughtfulness and discussion that I want to be having, How can I be broke if I'm constantly chasing the bag, Do you call CEOs and hustlers broke? No. We're always grinding, Don't worry about what I'm doing with my money. You go chase your bag. I'm doing fine. Mono says, NTA, his son, his rules. I'm saying, why are you worried about what I do as a parent? You worry about your kids. Don't tell me how to parent. I'm fine, And then you get stuff like this, Jojo says he shot a kid. So, I mean, like, it's okay, like, people make mistakes, people can grow as, like, individuals, and it's fine, it's okay, some people just do these sort of things, Man, people just don't understand these days, Rook says, Toji experienced one of the few times when a character coming back, talking about you should have made sure I was dead, is complete BS. Along with Lucan from Invincible. After what he did to Gojo, was he supposed to check his pulse? Anyway, he did nothing wrong and all that jazz. Exactly, when I stab someone like 400 times, I'm not gonna check their neck to make sure they're up and running. They're done. They're mincemeat, they're ending up on GoFundMe, bro, if anything. So, not my fault. I don't know about Lucan from Invincible, but I hope they're doing okay. Goon Squad said, I once asked for some cash to pay the Uber driver we were going to take. He proceeded to enter a violent rage and stole someone's car and drove us to the destination. Truly someone who would go above and beyond for his friends. See, we need more of this in the world. More people talking about me for who I really am. For me being a kind-hearted soul that would go above and beyond for those I care about. Nico says, here's my thoughts. Yes, what he did was bad, but people talk about what he did like it was a billion times worse than what Sukuna and other villains did, and use that to hate on him more. And I think that's lame. That's true. In the grand scheme of things, killing a couple of people, I mean, that's nothing compared to what Sukuna did. Sukuna, like, blew up like half of Shibuya, Not to mention what he was up to during the past, like, couple of centuries, So, by comparison, I'm a pretty good guy, Chaos Dunk says, love that sexy stud of a man, the wife guy to end all wife guys. Toji had so much aura even after dying that Gege gave him several flashbacks and a reanimation jutsu. He is him. Thank you. I love my wife. I love my son. And I had so much of aura that, like, yeah, that's what the kids be saying these days. I like Toji. Oh, sorry, this is by Clown. I like Toji's role in the story. He's barely present in it, but his choices just lead to everything going apeshit later on. Yeah, nah, that's true. That's something like, it's like a domino effect, basically. Me doing all that stuff to Geto and Gojo and, what's her name? Rico? Yeah, Rico. Yeah, it had a pretty big impact on those kids' lives, for sure. Soapy just says, wish there was more of him. Great character though, and not really a villain, just a guy needing money. Exactly. I'm chasing the bag. You worry about what you gotta do. I'm doing fine. We got a few more replies here. He smells like black and mild and body odor, says Rage Elemental. Well, that's just not true. You know, I smell like Axe and, I don't really bait. No, that's true. No, cut that. And we got a few more here on Twitter before I go over to what they had to say on Blue Sky. On YouTube, actually. I had a few more takes here. Brew says, I like how part of the balancing act for having a super hunky hobo hitman dad was that almost all the art in their prime has to feature a frauding rope of intestines with a baby face. His imperfection is being mistaken as a vermiologist. Sun Loves Shark says, he is the most interesting Jujutsu character to me, mostly because he had such a big domino effect on the story. So many events that happened after his death could be traced back to his actions. That's true. That's what I said. You know, if it wasn't for me, those gay boys wouldn't have broken up, so you gotta thank me for that, you know? Georg says, probably one of the best characters in Jujutsu, IMO. Despite his lack of sorcery, he made up for it in spades with everything else he brings to the table. That's true, you don't need magic when you got these hands, bro. You really don't. F-Wogue says, I'd argue that Toji, in the grand scheme of Jujutsu as a universe, has more significance than Gojo or Sukuna combined. Combined? I don't... Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. Okay, I am more important than both of those, yeah. I am way more important, and I am the best. I am the king. Crocking Bell says he's literally me. That's not true. I'm him. You can't be him. You could try to be me, but you're not. Morbid Robesity says, I think he should have set up a trust fund for his worm in case something happened to him. Exactly. That's one thing I regret, you know, before I bit the dust, like 3 times. Should have left something for this little guy, you know, he needs it. And especially in today's economy, you really need that sort of thing. Lidit says, him not giving a damn about Geto and treating him as an afterthought or as someone in the same level as Rico's maid is so goddamn funny, and not a lot of people talk about that. That's true, I pounded that kid to the dust, bro. I just, like, served him up on a plate. He's done. He was over. He didn't even land a hit on me. He landed a few hits on me, but that's okay. Spoiled Pilk says, he would do anything for a Costco hot dog. That is true. I don't know how to tell you this, but $150 for a big-ass hot dog and a soda, that goes a long way, dude. It really does. And Cyan Duck says, his obsession with taking down the pinnacle of sorcery leading to his demise is peak. That's true. I mean, I was just trying to get the money more than anything. But also, I kind of wanted to see, like, Gojo die. So, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, you know? But overall, despite what I said at the beginning of this, it seems as though a lot of people are more in agreement with me and my actions, which I appreciate, you know, and you know, with all the woke left and cancel culture and all that stuff going on these days, I'm glad that people can see me, a hardworking dad, and think, you know what, this guy was totally justified in all his actions. Now, let me go on over to Blue Sky, which I know that's where the liberals hang out, but let's see what they have to say about me and my innocent actions. Alright, so on Blue Sky, we got some words of wisdom here. Right off the bat, Jordan says, those kids could have just dodged. That's what I have been saying, you know? All those people online that say these hurtful things about me attacking children, the kids could have just dodged. They didn't have to, you know, they chose to just stand there, but no, I'm the bad guy here. Retro says, Megami has bad vibes, so I don't blame him. Exactly, him and his sister, whose name I forgot, you know, they're like these little runts, whatever. I don't really... Whatever, bro. I have my kid here, and, you know, he's doing fine. Zonic says, kind father just trying to support himself in a world which only cares about skill at birth. That's exactly what I've been saying, you know? In this society where everyone's so focused on your cursed techniques and your cursed energy, you know, I'm one of the few that chose to step up, you know? I'm not a stepfather, I'm the father that stepped away. People just don't see it, you know? Frey says, I don't know who this man is, but I've seen so many cosplays of him at conventions, so he must be a very, very good dude to be so popular. Exactly, you know? If I wasn't a good guy, why would people dress as me? You know, why would people pretend to be me if I wasn't a good human being? You know, I'm in heaven, you know? Can you say the same? Radical Rock says, Toji Fushiguro was a great husband, father, and human being. When my dad was dying of terminal illness, he chipped in and helped pay for his medical bills. When the planes crashed into the mountain when we were on a hike, he fought his way through the wilderness to help survivors. When my girlfriend broke up with me and I spiraled into a massive depression, Fushiguro came in with a marriage certificate and a job at his father's auto shop. I will always cherish this man and his good deeds in my heart, and I will not accept any slander pointed at him. I can't add anything else to that. If you hear that and still see me in a negative light, I don't know what to tell you, honestly. I think my actions speak for myself, and I think my actions are justified. Jonathan says he's innocent because he makes me thirsty. That's good. Erica says he should read romance manga. That's true. I could learn a lot. You know, I'm always listening and learning. I'm growing as a human being. Lux says, anyone who stabs Gojo in the throat has the mandate of heaven. That's what I've been saying. You know, if I could do it, anyone can. You know, what's stopping you from doing it right now? Stellar Flare says, he's just a single father trying to get by, only to run afoul of a tweaking teenager. That's, yeah, man. I mean, I was just trying to get the bag. You know, and I say this often, and I was just trying to get some money to fuel my very humble gambling addiction for horse racing. But no matter what you do, the woke left are always going to attack you. But, you know, truth be told, on Blue Sky, they were very kind to me. You know, no hurtful remarks, nothing questioning my character. Now on YouTube, let's see what people have to say about me real quick. Federico says, needs his own slice of life side series where he collapses further into alcoholism and gambling debt while doing his best to keep his worm in school. He should get a live action adaptation with Tom Holland playing the worm. I'd be down with that. That conceptually reminds me of that red woman from Bocchi the Rock. I could, you know, maybe her and I are not too dissimilar. Shadow Girl says he should have abandoned more children. I really should have. I really should have left my mark on this world before I left. Dante Okami says, you know the type of AUs where people imagine if the hero and villain were swapped in some way? To me, Toji is the Vegeta pre-Frieza to Gojo's... Oh wow, there's a lot here actually. To Gojo's Goku, an exiled prince unfairly deemed as weak who takes out the world's golden boy protagonist as a statement that power levels don't mean nothing. That might seem like a better comparison between Vegeta and Broly, but to me Broly is a much more altered counterpart to Goku. The Toji-Vegeta parallels even hold up with both of them having iffy relationships with their family, particularly their sons. Vegeta also happened to land a sugar mommy and not die prematurely. See, the difference being is that, Vegeta's 5'4", and I'm 6'8", so, Vegeta can go die for all I care, but I get what you're saying here. Avarice says, I was wondering if Toji could have killed Gojo and Geto at the same time. How powerful are normal weapons without magic? Maybe if I locked in further than I already did, that I could have, sniped the both of them, probably. Rockbreaker says, he looks like a Orochimaru moved to the Baki universe. His sword looks like it fires some kind of beam. I don't like the worm. You don't gotta, talk about, the worm. If you don't like it, you don't have to talk about it. The host with the most says, I just find him disrespectful. Seriously, why did he have to hit this emote after shanking that gay teenager with the goofy-looking blade? Bro, there's no need for all that stuff. What is he even trying to prove at that point? Just trying to flex, is all. Trying to be tough. Which, if you got the bag like I did, you would know that you would need to, hustle and bustle and, show your stuff. But, all things considered, after going through everyone's words and feedback, it seems as though more people are in agreement with me and my actions and feel as though that I'm justified, which I appreciate, In today's world where people are so quick to judge others for things that they may have done and not know the context behind, it's nice to know that just hardworking dads like me have a place in this world, have a place in people's hearts, and they see me as a good soul, and that means a lot. It really does. I'm gonna go back to playing with my worm, but I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy days to help me clear up any negative misconceptions that there may be about me as a human being, because I'm innocent. I didn't do anything bad. And it's nice to know that you guys feel the same way about me. Thank you all. Happy April Fool's Day, by the way. This wig is really itchy. I hate this. Ugh.